Welcome to the Hardheaded Podcast,
where we are taking a practical and realistic approach to becoming better fathers. All right, welcome back to Hardheaded Podcast. I'm Chet Sears. With me, as always, is Matt Amos and Troy Trussell. We are in deep in our fatherhood series covering the article, The 23 Qualities of a Good Father, Traits and Characteristics by Jeff Campbell from newmiddleclassdad.com. We hope you're enjoying this as much as we are. Our efforts are to be better dads, and we're bringing you along with this journey, discussing some of our pitfalls in the framework that's in Mr. Campbell's article here. So, again, we were basically really driving through the Ephesians 6:4. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. And that's not just having them in church, but that's really connecting with your kids and providing them a great environment to grow and have conversations and learn from you. And that's why we're covering these traits and characteristics. And today we're excited. We've got three subjects we're going to talk about, three of the characteristics. Number 10, set clear boundaries. Number 11, set clear expectations. And then number 12, protect your kids. So, setting clear boundaries. What say you about clear boundaries for your kids? Either Matt or Troy, don't jump in all at once.
Well, so from the article, it starts out, we are parents, not their friends. And I think for me, what I've seen in today's culture, you got a lot of parents that want to be cool with their kids.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey man, my kid's my best friend. And it's like, no, that shouldn't be the case. Cause you're, especially, at some of the ages that they're at, as those kids get older and they go out on their own, absolutely. I think your kids can be your best friends, but when you're training them up, you're the parent, and it's to me, it's almost kind of like a military structure, in that mindset. It's like, I've got some friends that I served with, but I'm senior to them. So when we're working, when we're training up, you're not my buddy at that point. I've got to be in control. I've got to be in charge, and here's what I expect of you. And so in that aspect, it's, the military actually really helped me, kind of develop that kind of structure, with my kids. And I think military, not always, but I think a lot of military kids have some pretty good structure there, because they're just kind of used to that routine and expectations and from my point of view, when I was in, I think I was a lot more rigid in my structure than I am now. I kind of relaxed a little bit, which I think you can be too rigid.
Yeah.
But again, them knowing that, hey, dad's dad, it's not my pal,
Right.
I'm here for whatever you need, and I'm let's get through that, but it's not going to be buddy.
Yeah.
Because if you're buddy, then you're not gonna.
Well, there's a lack of respect there.
Yes. And you're more willing to compromise, instead of staying true to what you think needs to be done.
Right. Yeah. As far as boundaries, I mean, we struggle with just everyday stuff, like around the house, especially like chores and just stuff that irritates you every day. Like my wife says all the time, like, I'm so sick of picking up after my kids. And we have clear boundaries set in place. Like if you get something out, you put something up, or this is where your shoes go, or this is where your socks go. But how many times in the day does she hear, where are my shoes? Where are my socks? Like it just the little things. And my wife and I it's on us because we don't follow up with it enough to make it a priority. And that's something that we have to work on ourselves as well, is enforcing those rules and those boundaries.
And it can be a full-time job.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's tiring on you as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's work. I mean, this isn't just the easy part where you're going to go tell your kids to, hey, it's the burden of command, as the military puts it. you're in charge. I mean, you've got to be up longer. You're putting in that extra energy to make sure that they're doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
One thing that my wife recently just put in play that's really helped with the whole shoe thing is she built a landing mudroom type place in the garage right by the door. So we're like an Asian household now. Take your shoes off in the garage. They don't come inside.
Yeah.
And that's helped the whole,
You're like, Josh,
where are my shoes?
where are my shoes?
Yeah.
They're like, they better be right outside by the door, so.
Yeah. I think, and I'll kind of steer us a little bit away from, I think there are rules. Like, this is what you need to do in our house. Like, that's a rule.
Yeah.
And then, like, there are boundaries, but I think they're a little bit deeper. And he doesn't go really into this in the article, but you will hear the truth from me. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like that. I think that's like a boundary, is that we have trust, and I'm not going to break that trust. I think that another boundary is, in all honesty, and this one's really maybe tough for some people to hear, my wife is more important to me than you are.
Oh yeah.
That my relationship with God is more important than my wife is. Like, there's a boundary that we need to set for ourselves, and they need to know where they fall in that structure, is that you have a place, and it's not number one, right? That's now I'm going to do everything for you. I'm providing this house for you. I brought you into this world. I'm going to support you all the way through it. But you have to understand there are boundaries. It's not a limitless thing, especially the older they get. It's not I'm not just going to provide and provide and provide, and you cross the boundaries and you're not trustworthy. I can't trust where you're going, what you're doing. You're getting in trouble with the law. My provision has a limit. There's only so much that I can do. So I think that's really where the boundaries are that I think are very valuable in this discussion. Naturally, we need to have order in our house, and I think that's some of the things that we get into the temper issues with. Is I told you not to do that, and you're doing it. Put your shoes away. My goodness, why are we doing this again?
In our family dynamic right now, that's where we are.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kids,
no doubt.
As they start driving, and like y'all's kids, then you get into more of the.
Oh,
definitely the deeper.
Yeah,
but that one thing you said, like, my wife is number one before y'all, and God's before her.
Yeah.
We've had that discussion with our kids multiple times as some, get to that age of understanding that a little bit more. And they are always like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it freaks them out.
And again, it's one of those things too, where, you scroll through social media, and I don't know how many people I've seen, oh, my kids are the most important thing in my life. And, it's like,
yeah. What about your husband? What about your wife?
Exactly. Well, but that's why.
I don't want to be offensive here, but I'm in a stage in my life where it seems that, my kids are aging out of our household, right? They're moving on. I've got a lot of people my age that their marriages are done. Like the only reason they stayed together was for their kids, and their kids are out of the house. What are we going to do? We're going to get a divorce.
Well, they were the most important thing.
Yeah. You have neglected your spouse this entire time, and they hung on for whatever. And now that the kids aren't there, we're done. And it's sad. It's so sad. And sometimes it's not that my kids are aging out of the house. They're just on their own, and they're old enough to understand that I hate your dad, or I can't get along with your mom, or work's more important than my family, whatever that is. But it's definitely those boundaries, I think, have been crossed, but they've been crossed by the adults, not the kids, right? The mom and the dad have not set good boundaries to say the most important thing in this household is you, not the kids. And that's something that our couple generations ago, I think, really had. They had that down. That there's order, there's structure. We're not here for you guys. Like we're here. You're going to be with us for a time, not forever. Right? And that's how it's supposed to be. It's biblical. You're going to leave your mother and your father, and you're going to go cleave to your wife. They're going to be moving on. They should move on. And so you need to have your life boundaries set up in a way they understand what that structure is.
Yeah, and even just another take, because in the article it says kids want structure, and just from personal experience, of course, I'm old enough to make my own decisions and figure things out for myself and all that. But I remember when I first got out of the military and got into my first job, which was sales. So I sold some metal buildings for a buddy of mine, and it's a sales position. So basically, you don't sell, you don't make any money. But I had zero structure to I had no idea how to go about a normal day in normal life. What do I do? How am I supposed to go about this? And who do I go to if I have questions? I don't want to go to the owner of the company, right? Because that's going to the top. I'm used to just going one level above and, hey man, what's this and this, and so it was very confusing for me. And kids are the same way. If they don't know where they fit in, then they're going to flounder and they're going to try to find a place to fit in, and it may not be the place that you want them to be that's best for them. So having that structure is extremely important.
Well, and that transitions right into the number 11 here. Set clear expectations. If somebody would have said, as a salesperson, you should be making 10 phone calls a day, following up on this.
Here's your schedule. Here's what I do. Base it off of that.
Yeah, and that's this is exactly what I need from you guys right now. Like my expectations are this. For us, there's a few things like with school. Our expectation is that you will put effort in. You will try. It's not, our expectation wasn't you're going to get all A's. You are going to put effort in.
You're going to do your best. That's what we tell our kids.
You are going to try. You're not going to quit. You're not going to give up. You're not going to be lazy. You're going to put effort in. That was an expectation that was there. And then, because that translates as well, right? You got it. Life isn't going to come at you with under your terms, right? You're going to have to put effort in with that as well. And I think that one's too. I expect you when you come home, I expect you to put your bag where it belongs. I expect you to eat your snack and then start on your homework, whatever that is. Clear expectations. At work, I call them the three exactly's. Exactly who's going to do exactly what by exactly when. Like let's be clear. Like what are my expectations here? My expectations is you are going to do this by this time. And we get that, teenage. I was like this, my mom, I need to take out the trash when I was a teenager. Like, yeah, I'll do that. Whenever I want, at some point I'm going to take that trash out.
It may be tomorrow.
And she's saying it because it's full right now.
And
right.
It needs to be done now.
Yeah. And if she would say, I need the trash taken out right now, that she's being a lot more clear in her expectations. She was probably not saying that because then I would have done oh my gosh, Mom, as a teenager.
Game.
I don't know if I ever did that, but I know that's how teenagers act today, right? If I'd have said something like that to my dad, I would have been slapped in the next week. But but being clear in those, this really helps communicating with your spouse as well. Like, I'm being very clear about my expectations here. I'm not being vague, or I'm not going to say it'd be nice if this were to happen when it's like, I really need this to happen. Right. Those kinds of things.
Yeah. And with our kids, we kind of go through that day before, we kind of plan out the next day. So there's there's at least a little bit of expectation of what's coming for tomorrow. Hey, hey, tomorrow morning we're going to get up. It's going to be this time. Like, it's summertime now. We're not going to sleep till, noon to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to get up. We're going to be productive. And, here's what needs to be done tomorrow. We don't set necessarily a time other than it's going to be done tomorrow.
Yeah.
And my wife and I double team that. So.
Yeah. And that's worked with the teenagers in our household is know what you need them to do, but also know that you're not going to tell them at the last minute because they want some autonomy. And it'd be great before you go to bed tonight, I need this to happen. And if you tell them that at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they're not, number one, you typically don't get the big, oh my gosh. But then, you get the, okay, I can manage that.
All right. Okay.
So, but here are my expectations. This is going to be done in this time frame. And if you wait till the last minute, then that's going to create an opportunity for you to put yourself in a timeout based on the way that they respond. Well, some of that may be self-inflicted.
When we drive up to the house, it's been, if we've been at a party or somebody's house, Bible study, whatever, wherever we've been, we have to set clear expectations as soon as we drive up in the driveway. And if we forget to do that, it's mass chaos.
Yeah.
Once we all get inside. And it's usually late at night. So like last night we forgot to do it. And so, but Hannah and I did it. We're like, okay, I'll take those two. You take those two. I'll tell she's going to go do her thing.
Yeah.
We talked about it, but we didn't set clear expectations to everybody in the car.
Kid, yeah.
So 2 went this way, 2 went that way. One started making oatmeal in the kitchen. Like, what are you doing? It's 9:30.
Yeah.
What we're supposed to all be in the shower. Like we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And it was just mass chaos because we didn't set
What are you,
expectations.
what are you doing?
Why are you eating right now?
We just came from a party.
Like,
Why did you not eat all their food?
exactly. There was plenty of food at that party, but yeah.
No, it cracks me up. The late night snack. They had Dirty's dishes and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
We should have had some Little Debbie's in that case.
Exactly.
All right. And the next one, number 12, protect your kids. And I know we're all, hey, yeah, you doggone right, I'm going to protect my kids. The article takes this in a little bit different direction than we're thinking from the physical protection. But, what if you die? How are your kids gonna continue? Like, do you have life insurance? Are you in a position where you have an emergency fund if something happens and you need some extra medical expense paid for, whatever? Are you doing the things that are going to protect your kids from some random event crashing the entire system down? Like that's a tough one. I'll tell you what was pretty funny with so for those that don't know, Troy is my brother-in-law, so I married Troy's sister, and so Troy's dad is my father-in-law. And your dad, the Trussell family, is very peculiar about home safety. And I grew up in the middle of nowhere, like further in the middle of nowhere than wherever Matt grew up. And this was one of those, I don't even think our windows had locks on them. And we didn't really worry about locking the door. You could leave the keys in your visor in your driveway for your car. I mean, that kind of stuff. We didn't even have a garage. We had a carport. So all the stuff that would be in a garage behind a glove is just out there, and nothing like that. So naive, I guess you could say, when I moved into the city. And I'll never forget when we bought our first house. We lived in an apartment for a while, and Troy's dad, my father-in-law, was like, "Well, when are you getting a security system on this house?" Or actually, "Hey, we put an offer on a house. Does it have a security system?" Yeah, I don't think that's when you get one. They can come over and give you a quote before you even move in, right? You can get before you close on this house. And then my response to that was, "I don't think I'm getting one. Like we'll just lock the doors." And then like the next time I saw him, he's like, "You got that quote for that security system yet?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just debating it. I don't even know if we're going to go this route. We're living in a nice neighborhood. There's, a lot of young families around, blah, blah, blah." And then next time I saw him, he's like, "Hey, there are a couple people you can call to get quotes for these security systems out here. They're not that, and so basically it got to the point where, like, you know what, I'm going to have to get a security system." And, I traveled with work, there's certain things where he's just like, "Look, you're not looking at the big picture here. You think that a locked door and you not home is going to protect your wife. Give an extra level of security in this case, where there's an alarm system that goes off and it's monitored, all that kind of stuff." So when you think about protection, you got to think about those circumstances when you're not there. You're not around. Are you doing the right things? And maybe, are you getting into the right neighborhood? Are you doing what it takes to get them in the right school? Those kinds of things are all protective of your kids. So I think it's really important that we protect our kids in that way. Think about it like that, not just physical protection. Are they safe? You have life insurance. Are you saving to help them get started in life, whether that's college or trade school or their first car? so they can start working, those kinds of things? Do you have some money set aside to deal with some emergencies, just in case something pops up? Or maybe they have an opportunity at school. They can go do, this certain trip if it's paid for. You are allowing for them to have opportunity there if you are financially protected in that case.
And make sure your spouse is on board, and knows all this stuff as well.
Yeah.
Knows how y'all are planning to do this. And because I'll just give you one, for instance, I came home and was floored that my wife let my daughter and oldest son, the two oldest kids, run up to Brahms and grab some milk one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
Not cool with that.
I'm not cool with this.
Yeah.
And it was middle of the day, summer, or I don't even think it was summer yet. It was back in the spring. And we just had to have a conversation about, that's not in this day and age.
That's not the Trussell way.
That's not the Trussell way.
Yeah.
So much like your dad.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at my kids, they're, 13 and 11 at the time.
Yeah.
But they look like they're 10 and 7.
Right.
It's just not no. We had to have a sit down.
So,
and chat about boundaries and how to protect our children.
how far is Brahms from your house?
Oh, it's not even a half mile.
Were they on bicycles?
I think they just walked.
The Stone. Oh, actually, all my kids.
Y'all used to go to the Dairy Queen, right?
They would ride their bikes to my parents' house 4 miles away.
Oh,
when
yeah.
they were your kid, the 11 and 13.
No. But your kids look 18 and 16 when they're 11 and 13.
No. But I mean, that's have that conversation.
Have that conversation
because
with your wife.
If that's how my kids were raised, and they're going to do the Brahms thing, and if they married somebody that was raised in a family like yours, they're going to freak out about it.
And when your daughter babysat for us while we were out of town, they all walked up there.
Yeah.
But they were with her, so that's fine. But they don't need to be gallivanting around by themselves.
Okay. I mean, have that conversation about what protection is.
Yeah, have a conversation.
How long would it take your kids to walk to Brahms, Matt?
A couple days.
Because he's out there.
I don't even know. I mean, the nearest Brahms, 15, 20 miles. But so, along with that, again, you're talking about protecting your kids, and a lot of that stuff, beyond the physical, you're talking with your spouse, whether that's saving or whatever it is, and even if the parents are divorced, and you're talking with your ex-wife, making sure that those conversations happen so that you can do the best by those kids. And if you don't have a cooperative partner, again, that's just being there present for those kids and saying, hey, here's what I'm working on, and have those in place for them. Because I know that's been another topic, a not cooperative ex, because there's still kids in the picture. You're still wanting to be that father for them, and being divorced and paying child support or alimony is tough, and it's tough to save. So I think you can do well by even going a little bit beyond, and no matter how much you're saving or what you're saving, that you're saving a little bit. All the time, just to have that built up. So at least there's something, so your kids will know that effort. Yeah. And as they grow, they'll see that effort.
Well, and the reality is you're setting, if you get into the why, which goes back an episode or two, then you are teaching your kids that they need to do that for themselves and for their kids, right? That you're passing that protection along as well.
And, if you go to newmiddleclassdad.com, he's got hyperlinks on Protect Your Kids, on the best tips for the life insurance, saving for college, and emergency funds for unexpected expenses. If you got some hyperlinks there for some ideas to take care of those things.
Yep. And there's a passage in Proverbs that I think really touches the refuge of what protection gives your kids. And Troy, you got that Proverbs 14:26?
In the fear of the Lord, one has strong confidence, and his children will have a refuge.
Yeah, I think that's, I think a lot of times, especially our younger kids, that the confidence they have in their parents comes out of ignorance. And I think as a new believer, our confidence in the Lord just comes with that blind faith. And the older that I get in my relationship with Christ, I've seen demonstrated behaviors from him that increase my confidence and increase my faith. And I think the more that we demonstrate our protection for our kids and help them understand the why behind all of this, the more confident that they're going to have that you, as their father, truly are a refuge for them. So I think that's a pretty powerful verse.
That's good. That tied in good.
So next week, we're going to cover 13, 14, and 15. Loving your kids doesn't mean you have to love everything that they do. That's going to be an interesting one. 14 is set consequences for poor choices. And number 15, don't make others suffer for the sake of a teachable moment. And let me tell you what, I've done a lot of suffering watching some parents try to teach their kids in the inappropriate places and at inappropriate times. So that's going to be probably fun. We may bring a few examples of that.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.